Well, it's here. We have finally reached the finale to the first season of Superman and Lois. It has been 15 episodes of some of the best portrayals of Clark Kent, of Smallville, of Lois Lane, of anybody in the Superman mythos. I think this show has just nailed it. It got everything right. It got the characterizations right. It got the romance right. It's such a good show. And I'm amazed that it kept up its momentum for the most part for 15 episodes. Because I think, wasn't this originally supposed to be like 10 or 12? And then they just decided to add more? And it still felt like a cohesive story? That's kind of impressive. And this finale, it did a really good job of serving us a great final moment for this arc. At times, I will say, I felt like, here's the COVID, if that makes sense. There are certain moments in this episode I felt it more than other ones. And this isn't a criticism or negative about the episode. I just felt like, oh yeah, we're filming this during a pandemic, because there's certain scenes where it's only like two people in a frame, when we know there's more people in the scene. And I think that's an interesting choice. Tom Cavanaugh directed this episode, a legacy man from the Flash stuff. So he's over here now. He's doing something fun over here with Superman and Lois, and it was pretty good. Like, this finale, it picked up right where we left off. Jordan was kidnapped by Tal-Rho as the Eradicator. His daddy was put into the body of Jordan. Clark can't find him. Even John Henry can't find him. Nobody can find where Jordan is. And it takes Superman literally flying into space and screaming at the top of his lungs for Jordan to kind of break through to find his dad. He finds him inside a volcano. That looks pretty good. CGI for a volcano, that could be pretty bad for television, but I think for the most part, it looked pretty dang cool. And the idea is, how are we going to get this son of a gun outside of Jordan? Because Clark could barely get Zod out of him. And Jordan is so emotional and hard up, and he can't, break through with a lot of things. So how are we going to do that? We have to find the right plan to get through that and get that all to work. Is it going to be the thing we need? Who knows? So how are we going to find that? We have a couple of people here who need to get involved in this situation. First off, we have to figure out what Tal-Rho's plan is now that he's got his dad out there. Basically, it's like what we did in Metropolis, and we had 4 Kryptonians hiding among us. Inside the DOD, we kind of turn some of the agents into more Kryptonians, which is a really great scene where you just see all of these people in Smallville just freaking out, and then suddenly you understand, oh, this is where Morgan Edge was. He's literally coming down to turn people into Kryptonians. Very cool stuff. Again, something I know people might have opinions on, but I've been very positive about this. I love the Cushings. They're very strong characters and very cool in their respective fields. So they save John and Sarah and their grandfather from pretty much just dying on there. We see that Sam has to get a sling in so his arm is better, and they kind of bring him to the DOD, and basically the Cushings are getting involved now. They're going to be essential to this. They literally help save people in the town. And when there's the big attack happening at Smallville, we see this was probably, I'm jumping all over this episode because I'm just so excited to talk about it. This was probably my favorite part of the episode, honestly, was when the attack is happening on Smallville, the Kryptonians are attacking them, and there's buildings being destroyed, and there's fires everywhere, and Kyle rushes into a burning building to save someone, and he's just walking out like the hero. I know it's Superman and Lois, and we're setting up Clark to be the perfect guy. We did that. Of course we did that. But Kyle is the unsung hero of this show. He is the boots on the ground guy that has so much to offer. And when he had his moment like that, I was just sold. I've been sold the entire time I saw Kyle. You made him a little bit of a dick in the beginning, but at the end here, you sold me on Kyle. You really did a lot of cool stuff with Kyle, and that was really fun to see. I love the small reference when they're evacuating Smallville, they're going to destroy it. Smallville is probably going to be destroyed in this episode, but it's not. I just love the small reference that, oh yeah, there are other kids with their grandparents. Because where is she half the time? We know where Sarah is, but where's Sophie? She's with the grandparents. Okay, whatever. That stuff works. I mean, it's cute. I love Kyle. Lana gets some stuff to do here. Sarah, of course, gets some stuff to do. And I'm surprised they didn't tell her about Jordan. I thought that's what we were going to be doing this episode, is telling her about Jordan. But we don't go that route. Kind of interesting. So we now have more Kryptonians. We got about 6 of them now, when you're including the Eradicator and Jordan as the... Is it Seda? Is it Seda Row? I think that's his name. So we got 6 of them. We have to find a way to defeat these people. One of the things we can do is amplify John Henry Iron's hammer using some solar technology that he has lying around. So him and John are going to go do that and work on those. And I love this scene where they're like building the hammer and getting it all together, and then John just dumps like a bunch of guns onto the counter, like, these are all the things I took from you. It looks like everything you have. I really like that. That's John. John, again, another unsung hero of this show. Like, you could have done so much of that character that would just become so annoying, but you stuck it in the right way, and you made John a very compelling lead. I really enjoy everything John does. So, we have to fight our Kryptonians. How are we going to do that? We're going to go to a random field, beat the shit out of them. You know, some random, just like, wherever we are filming this, we'll just go find like a gravelly, dirty area and have some punch 'em ups. And it looks pretty dang cool. Like, it really does. It's really sweet to see that. Just that sequence of Steel and Superman going toe-to-toe with these Kryptonians, the slow motion shots, it's gorgeous. The way the two of them at the beginning of that just fly up and come down together, amazing. Like, some of the best Superman stuff we've seen ever. And it's on the CW. It's amazing to me. It's amazing that it's working so well, and it just goes to show you Superman is a great character. Just let him be a great character, and you can see a lot of cool shit happening with him. I really enjoy that, and that fight scene was so cool. So we have to deal with that. We have 2 other problems here. Of course, it's the Eradicator and Seda Row. So how are we going to get Seda Row outside of Jordan? That's like our main concern, to get Jordan safely out of there. We're going to use some weird mind machine thing. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to... It's the thing that we saw happening to Clark when Zod was in him, right? I think that's what they said. Like, it's that kind of a thing. So Lois is going to hook up to one end of the machine. John's going to protect her. He's got a gun from... Ooh, is it Thaddeus Kilgrave they said the gun is from? I think that's who they said. That's pretty cool shit if it is. So she's going to go inside the mind of Seda Row and Jordan and try to get him out of there, which is a very cool scene. And when you see that Jordan kind of like wakes up as Seda, and you just see John like, oh, you're awake, Mom did it. And we see that Jordan grabs him and throws him into the air, just floating there, choking out his brother. Well, we see Lois is inside there trying to save him. And we see, like, when we finally go deep enough into the brain to actually get to the stuff with Jordan, and he's like scared, he's broken, he's paranoid, and Lois is to come and be like, you are stronger than you think. You are my son. That is such a strong moment, a very strong moment with these characters that really moved me. I really liked seeing that. And when Jordan finally is able to break through of Seda Row, and he hugs his brother in the air, I got teary-eyed. I'm like, that. I buy it. I buy the love between these brothers. And you see, like, it kind of parallels, like, Jordan saying, I love you to Sarah in the last episode, the way John says it to Jordan here. And that's kind of like what helped snap him out with the help of his mom. That's cool. I really like that. So Seda Row, problem solved with him. But how are we going to stop the Eradicator? Well, we have to charge up the super flare hammer and hit it at just the right moment, at just the right velocity. That's going to essentially kill him. How are we going to do that? Well, we have to get the right charge. So we see that on the reserve power that John Henry has left, he has to throw it at this right angle. And this is where I'm like, oh, we really set up a good arc if this is where John Henry Irons is going to die. And when he throws the hammer, we think he's going to die because Superman has to hold the Eradicator in place. When the hammer hits, it's a big explosion. It destroys all... It makes like a huge, like, just like pit they're around, which I think it looked great. It looked surprisingly good, and it hits him and defeats the Eradicator. But this is where we're like, John Henry Irons is going to die. And I was fully convinced, like, this was his swan song. He pretty much avenged the death of his Lois and his daughter. And now it's just like, okay, this is it. Goodbye, John Henry Irons. But at the last minute, Superman swoops in and saves him, and we don't see that he's dead. And I think that's pretty cool. And then, you know, it's kind of a simple wrap-up, but that happens and stuff like this. Like, it worked. We defeated this side of the problem. Leslie Law is still alive. Did they kill Morgan Edge? I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure the Eradicator and Talro stuff is destroyed. And then we get a couple just, you know, like, wrap-up moments. We kind of, like, learn that the Cushings are going to stay. we learn that Superman announces to the world that Morgan Edge was a Kryptonian, and this is what was going on. He's telling the truth to Chrissy in like a really interesting interview, which I really like to see that. Again, you're just playing into the strengths of this show. Show the journalism side. We got Lois Lane in here. Show the journalism, because it's very important stuff and very powerful stuff. It just looks great. So that was fun to see. Again, it's a small moment, but I really just enjoyed where Chrissy is just like, don't you think the world is going to treat you differently now because they saw what a Kryptonian can do to hurt the people that live here? And when Superman just goes, I've never been able to control what people think of me. That was so good. That is Superman. That is great. That is what I want to see, and it worked so well. It worked so well. So that happened. We see that Lois kind of like sells their old place in Metropolis to put up a front money so she can buy the Gazette with Chrissy, and they can be partners, equal partners in it. And we see Chrissy's like, yeah, duh, what else would I do? Of course I'm going to work with you. I don't need the big conglomerate money. You and me, Lois, that's what we're doing here. That's a fun tease. I like that. Of course, I said the Cushing stay, and we're kind of setting up some other storylines here. Of course, Jordan and Sarah, got to keep that going. Very fun tension building there. But John and this new girl, is that going to be something? I still think her daddy might be somebody from The Flash. Don't know who it could be, but something to look out for. I think that's kind of cool. And also, we get a couple other things. First off, Sam is going to step down from active duty, which I think is a very fascinating thing. Is this going to make him a main character now? Is he going to be like a main focus in season 2? Is he going to be living with them? Fun stuff. But, you know, Sam had a pretty good arc where he's like, I have to go against my family, do what's best for the country too. Like, the sacrifices of one person can actually affect greatly. I have to trust my son-in-law. Really cool stuff to see that angle. I think it worked really well. And we also see that John Henry Irons was offered a job at the DOD, but he's like, I need to go find my own place, because if I stay here, every time I look at Lois, I just see my wife. And it's not your fault. I know you're not her, but I can't help but feel it. I'm like, yeah, dude, makes sense to me. So we get some wrap up, the family's together. We get a beautiful moment where we're actually saying goodbye to Jor-El. So Superman goes back to the fortress. He picks up the shattered remains of his father, and they're going to have a funeral for him. And I really just like the speech that Tyler Hoechlin gives here, where it's just like, you know, I came here and I wanted answers, and he gave me everything I need to know about myself, but the best thing he ever did for me was be my father, which is something that Tal-Rho never got. And I think that's really, really powerful. That's Superman right there. And it's interesting we live in a world where Superman literally has none of his family left. I think that's a very curious thing. Like, the Kents are both deceased. Jor-El and Lara are deceased. Very fascinating. An interesting dynamic for this, for sure. But I'm kind of curious by it. So the big wrap up for this is that John Henry Irons is about to leave. He's going to go on the road, just figure out what his next step is. But something is falling from the sky outside, and we don't know what it is. So everyone goes out, they're alert, they're curious about what that's going to be that comes from the sky. A ship crashes down and lands right in front of the Kent farm. Who emerges from it? None other than Natalie, John Henry Irons' daughter. She made it to this world, and she sees somebody she thinks is her mom. And Lois has a very strong reaction. It's like, oh my God, this is the daughter I could have had. Very powerful, very, very powerful ending. That is such a great cliffhanger for a first season, because it doesn't like tease you of like a grander scope of anything. It's just like, he has his daughter. We end on a high note where everyone's kind of happy, but sadness and destruction lurks around the corner. It's a great episode, a really fun finale. At times, like I said, it does feel kind of COVID-y, where you just have like certain reactions from people where they're the only people in the room. And at times I'm like, yeah, we kind of wrapped this up a little too fast. But if it's a Superman story, I have no problem with him solving the problem being Superman. So it worked really well. This show has been great, and I'm so glad it's got renewed for a second season, because this is what I like to see on television when it comes to these characters. Just pure-hearted goodness. Everything works out. Everything's really fun. I love it. I love it. I eat this stuff up. Like I said, Tulloch and Hoechlin, up there with Reeve and Kidder. Might even surpass them at this point. I'd have to go back and watch those old movies again, but it's hard to say, because these are just such good performances, and this was a great finale to the show. It was nice. It was pleasant. It didn't overstay its welcome. I really enjoyed this, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it too. So we did it. 15 episodes of Superman and Lois. The reviews are right here if you want to go back and watch them all in order to get a feeling of the show. I recommend watching Superman and Lois if you've just been keeping up with my reviews of the show. It's a really good program, and it's going to make you smile, and it's what you'd want from Superman. If you want a dark, gritty Superman, you don't understand the character, because this is what he is, and this is how we should always be portrayed. I really like this show. I love these characters, and I'm so glad we got 15 episodes of a fantastic show like this. So, thank you guys for sticking with me for 15 episodes of Superman and Lois. Stargirl is right around the corner. We have one episode out at the time of this recording, so thank you guys for supporting that and this too. Now, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you want more good stuff like this. I'm going to definitely do more. I'm hopefully going to do more. Let's put it that way. So, as always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.